Welcome back to the Speaker Vision podcast. In this episode, we discuss truly why things aren't working out for you. We really go through the ins and outs of that question, but after we go through the ins and outs of the question, we boil it down to one specific thing because ultimately, it's only really one thing. So, why are things really not working out for you? We go through a few definitions, but I know you didn't come here for definitions. So, we go through the answers and how to execute the answer so that it's sustainable for you. Let's get it and enjoy this episode. Welcome back. Welcome one, welcome all to the Speaker Vision podcast. I am your host, Tariq Williams. This is your place for everything empowerment. I'm Tariq Williams. You're the listener. We're getting right into it. Here we go. So, it's just not working out. It's just not working out. You ever hear, when you're back in like high school or college or whatever, and that like maybe you're in a relationship and you hear, it's just not working out. It's just not working out. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that it's just not working out. Okay. But what we're talking about here today on this episode, no guess, it's just your boy, it's Vision of Hope. But not only I am Vision of Hope, we are Vision of Hope. What we're talking about today is the fact that it's not just working out. It's just not working out. So why aren't things working out for you the way that you want them to? So in this episode, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why you think things may not be working out. We're going to get to the real reasons on why things aren't working out. You're going to hear a story that really implements and brings this all together, personal story of my own. And then finally, we'll wrap up with just some takeaways and things to think about as we move along here. Now, let's get into it. So, once again, you're in school, you're in a relationship, in a friendship, it's just not working out. We're not in alignment anymore. We're not connecting anymore. It's just not working out. And so, when things aren't working out in a relationship, or for the goal that you're working on, what we jump to is this. We jump to that person just isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's not working out. They're not serving me in the way that I need to be served. So it's just not working out. All right. The external, the other the boss talking about their employees, they're just not getting the job done. So therefore, it's not working out. So why are those things happening? So the reason why we're thinking about some of these external things is that we're continuing to see what other people are doing incorrectly. Because it's easy to see that because literally you are yourself. You are a person. And so we are looking specifically at the actions of other people. And we know that it's not it. We know that the actions that the other people are doing are not it because we're observing them, we're seeing them. So, for example, that person at work just is not getting the job done. They may not be able to work here anymore. All right. Another entity is this like in this relationship, that person is doing X, Y, and Z, and I just can't get behind that, and I deserve better. So when you're looking at what other people are doing, it's clear, it's obvious. You can recognize that other people are in the external are not doing the things they either said they were going to do or they're just literally they're just not living up. They're not up to the bar. They're not up to their line. They're not exceeding expectations. That's a problem. Okay. Sorry. Now, what about when it comes to goals? Okay. What about when it comes to your goals? Where is the external there? Okay, well, let me tell you. It's still about the other people that aren't getting the job done. You know, my computer didn't work well today. It crashed. Therefore, I wasn't able to get the job done. Or another entity of this, there was so much traffic on the way, I wasn't able to make the connection, make the phone call, etc. Right? Um, or for that goal, I was gonna post 3 or 4 times today, but unfortunately, I just ran out of time because I was tired. And because I was tired, because I had all these other things I needed to do. Or maybe it was too hot outside, right? It was too hot outside. I live in Arizona. It's hot. Okay. It was too hot. See, here's the situation. When you're thinking about your goals, when you're thinking about your relationships, when you're thinking about your workplace, it's very clear and easy to see what other people are doing. And that so then you start to realize why things aren't working out for you, because you can literally see all the different things that are happening and what other people aren't doing. All right, here we go. Newsflash. So the problem is you're missing the boat here. The reason why things aren't working out in your life have nothing to do with all the people around you and everything to do with your priorities. Everything to do with your priorities. See, here's the situation. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Maybe not what you might not want to hear this, but it's your priorities. Okay. It's your priorities that are leading you to not getting the job done, for not listening the way you need to be listening to other people, for not receiving information the way that you should be receiving information from other people. So, how do we get our priorities in alignment? Well, first off, let's define the word priorities. And then after we define the word priorities, we're going to get into truly why things aren't working out for you the way that you want them to be. You all aren't here for a definition, so I'll keep this quick, short, and sweet and to the point. I was told that I don't get to the point. Can you believe that? Can you believe that I was told that I don't get to the point? I feel like I give structured guidance and materials because, see, I'm not just trying to tell y'all. I'm not just trying to tell you different things for the sake of telling you different things. The information isn't set to be set up to only be on the podcast. We need to paint the picture so that you know how to take what you're listening to here on the podcast and take it with you tomorrow in your relationship, or the next day at work, or the day after that, because you just, wow, Tariq said that great thing during the podcast, and I really wondered. No, you don't have to wonder, because your boy Vision of Hope, aka Tariq Williams, already gave you the blueprint, the roadmap, and how it connects. Let's go. So, priorities. When we talk about priorities, what we're really talking about here are your commitments and your values that dictate your actions on a day-to-day basis. Are you hearing me in the back? We're keeping it short and sweet today. I have a lot more things I could say, but short and sweet, this is our working definition. Your commitments and your priorities, your commitments and your values that dictate your actions on a daily basis. And so they're literally your priorities. Okay. They're literally yours. You actually choose that. You choose them. Now, if you choose to have your priorities set up in a way that makes John happy, but not Bill, let's be clear here. You chose that. You chose that priority. It was your priority that you chose. So when we talk about priorities, All right. And we're talking about the commitments and the values that we're making. We really need to look in the mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Don't copyright me. But if you know who said that song, leave it in the comments, leave a review. Anyways, favorite singer, one of my favorite singers. But besides the point, nevertheless, the problem is when we think about why things aren't working out in your life, we are so ready to blame someone else. Can someone tell me why that is? Oh, I can't. Okay, I can't hear you because this is the podcast. But I have a lot of thoughts. Maybe we do that because once again we have a hard time admitting our faults. Maybe we have a hard time adjusting to what our faults are and admitting them, and maybe as we've grown up we haven't really recognized that we have to admit our faults because maybe we were told that we have to be perfect. But the thing is, we can't be perfect because perfect doesn't exist. The only perfect that does exist is the fact that you're perfectly you, and being perfectly you means that you're going to make your own mistakes, but you have to allow yourself to make those as you're creating your own priorities. Now, as you look at yourself and what your priorities look like, I want to tell you all a story. I had just became blind and I went through the entire summer and I'm really starting to navigate what next looks like for me. Cuz I'm not exactly sure, but I remember going into the first day of school and getting into the lunch line, okay? I'm getting into the lunch line, and as you all know, I don't have any central vision. I only have blurry peripheral vision. So I'm talking to a friend in the lunch line. I won't say her name because I haven't talked to her since probably this day. Who knows? Um, but I'm talking to her. Shout out Pleasant Valley High School. But as I'm talking to her, I'm looking directly to the side. I'm looking directly to the side because that's the best way I can get a view of her. And we're talking, catching up on the summer, how things are going. Tariq, how are you? Da da da. Looking fly as always, because Tariq. I always had to look fresh. You know what I'm saying? Mom always made sure I was looking clean. All right. We had to make sure we was looking fresh. But I'm looking to the side. Okay. So eventually, as I'm talking to her, and I think we're vibing and we're having a good conversation, she goes to me, Tariq, what are you looking at? And those of you listening or watching on YouTube are also wondering, Tariq, what are you looking at? And I immediately became self-conscious. I immediately became self-conscious because we didn't really talk at all about my blindness. I maybe mentioned it a little bit, but I was nervous to bring it up. See, at that time, I wasn't using a white cane because nobody else was doing it. So because nobody else was doing it, why would I do it, right? That doesn't make any sense. Just because I'm the only blind person at the school and everybody else can see fine, that's so cool. So I'm good. I'm fine as well. So I got out of there as quickly as I could. I got out of that conversation. I was like, yeah, I was just sorry, my bad. And it's switched. Boom, looking forward again. Okay. All right, Tariq. Well, good. Enjoy your lunch. Da da da. I thought we were gonna sit next to each other at lunch. We did not sit next to each other at lunch because I was out of there. Shoo! Grease lightning, we're rolling up a quarter mile. Like I was out of there, out of the shoo. Anyways, but it made me think because at that moment in time, my main concern was not looking weird. Okay. My main concern was not looking strange. My main concern was not looking weird. My main concern was not looking different because I'm just like everybody else. The problem is nobody is like everybody else because every single person is different. But I didn't know that at the time because I thought I had to fit into the high school mold. I thought I had to fit into what society was telling me. I had to fit into what everybody else was doing because that's what cool was. And clearly, cool had to be the main priority. So, as I've grown as a person, I reflect on that particular story a lot because when it comes to my blindness, when it comes to me as a person, when it comes to thinking about who I want to be tomorrow and the next day and the next day, when I'm getting my priorities together, there's a couple things that need to be a part of the conversation. First and foremost is my authenticity. First and foremost is my authenticity, if y'all couldn't hear me the first time. So why aren't things working out for you? First and foremost, your priorities. A part of that, the subsection first, authenticity. Okay. If we're not in line authentically, what are we talking about here? After we get into our authenticity, we start talking about mental health, because if your authenticity is not in alignment with who you are, then you're not taking care of your mental health. Your mental health will suffer if you're not being authentically you, because you're putting on a facade every day of the week. So when we're talking about our goals, we're talking about our dreams. Well, those are your goals and your dreams, but if you're not authentically you, it won't be your goal and it won't be your dream. So, as it pertains to my blindness, the only way I was able to work through that and become the person I am today, to be able to talk with you on a podcast, is because I realized that it wasn't about other people. My friendships, my relationships, my working relationships, my connections, my environment. This is going to sound selfish, but it was never about any of those things. It was about me and my own insecurities. And that's not selfish, it's just the truth. I applied to a job once upon a time, and I got asked the question, all right, Tariq, what do you need to be the best employee you can be at this workplace? I took a step back and I said to them, I need a workplace where I can be authentically myself. Because if I can't be authentically myself, if I can't authentically be Tariq Williams, I'm not only hurting myself, I'm hurting the company, because I can't be my best self. Because the only way I can be my best self is being my authentic self. That's literally the only way I can do that. Because my best self is my authentic self. My authentic self is my best self. They work hand in hand. What am I doing today, Tariq? My best. But my best is authentically me. And that's all I got. And so if I can't be authentically me at the workplace, then this isn't going to work out for either of us. So then I would appreciate your honesty. If I can't be myself here, it's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. So with that, when you're creating your priorities, I'm not going over the list. I'm just starting with authenticity, because what the real takeaway here is, and it's not selfish, you have to prioritize you. You have to prioritize you. You have to take care of you. Growing up, my grandmother would always tell me, self first, take care of yourself. Because if you as a person aren't prioritizing you, then how are you going to give to other people? What are we talking about here? So, first and foremost, you have to prioritize you. I went over a couple different stories today, and I went over them very in a lot of detail, because I want you all to really understand the importance of this. Why things aren't working out for you, because you're not prioritizing you. You might be in the wrong space. That's fine. You might be in the wrong space. So then leave that space. But understand what it looks like to prioritize you. And in the next episode, next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about, we're going to take this to another level here. But you have to prioritize you. Tariq, I still kind of think that's selfish, Tariq. I'm not really sure how to digest what you just said in this episode, Tariq. But I guess I get it, Tariq. I'm not really sure, but I guess I mean, Tariq, you're not saying anything too crazy, but I'm just still trying to understand here. So, Tariq, what do you think? How does this work? Well, um, I'm glad you asked. Because if you weren't gonna ask, guess what? I was gonna tell you anyway. So, enter here the Empower Your Life, the Prioritize You workbook. You have to prioritize you. So I recently launched a workbook that's all about the steps, the guides, the instructions, the stories, explaining all the different avenues and what it means to prioritize you. We'll leave the book in the description. It's an e-workbook. So how the e-workbook is set up, it's set up in a way that has 10 chapters and a conclusion, going through different stories, different metaphors, so that you can really paint the picture and what it looks like to prioritize you in all different aspects and take you along for a journey so that you can implement prioritizing you immediately. Intermixed in the workbook, because it's a workbook, not just a book, but it's a workbook. So you're reading the steps, you're reading the strategies of the workbook, and then from there, answering the questions it's asking you to then start thinking about what it literally looks like concrete. We don't stay abstract in the workbook because you get the opportunity to literally answer the questions and reflect and take notes within the book to understand what it means to prioritize you. Because this isn't the Prioritize Tariq Williams workbook. This is the Prioritize You workbook. So once again, we go over the steps and strategies in all 10 chapters and all different types of avenues. We answer the questions and what it means to prioritize you, the reasons why you don't, the reasons why you should, questions, where it gets confusing, really inside and out. This workbook was only supposed to be a couple pages. It turned out to be quite a bit more. Because we don't do incomplete here. And I put a lot of work, I put a lot of heart, put a lot of passion into the workbook because I see this as a big problem in society today. When I finished the workbook, I couldn't help to even get a little bit emotional because I know the value that it has. I know the quality in the workbook, and I know that it has the power to change lives. And I'm really excited about it. We'll leave the link in the description. It's $8.99, and think about it as the $8.99 to take you to the next level in your life, to truly recognize you and what it means to invest in yourself and start prioritizing you because you matter. So once again, why things aren't working out in your life right now. Ultimately, we went down the journey, we went down the path, but ultimately, priorities are a part of that, but ultimately, you are not prioritizing you. So check out the workbook, start prioritizing you today. Don't just think about the action, take the action. You thinking about next, you thinking about next steps, you thinking about this, you thinking about that, stop. Stop thinking. That's part of the problem because you're thinking about how it affects everybody else. But how about how it's affecting you? The time is now. Empower your life. Get the Prioritize You workbook. Let's get it. Let's make it happen. Not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are all growing together. We're all prioritizing you, ourselves. We are Vision of Hope. Speak Your Vision podcast. Let's get it. Vision.